Likkutei Torah, Drushim for Yom Kippur, page Samaches, second column, Eis Beis. The Rabbi was explaining to understand the inyan of Yom Kippur, why one pasuk says Shabbos Shabbos and He Lochem feminine, another pasuk says Hu Lochem it's masculine, and he says that we know positive mitzvah you do tshuva you're right away forgiven, negative mitzvah you need to wait until Yom Kippur. The positive mitzvah are stronger, so tshuva should be more difficult, not easier. See, the Rabbi starts explaining that really from Hashem's perspective, the pasuk says, you turned your back to me. So the Rabbi explains, it doesn't mean chas v'sholom that the Jew is not by Hashem, because Hashem's all over the place. But he gives a mashal of two people standing next to each other, but they're back to back, so they're actually worlds apart. And he said, because before the world, after the world, that Hashem didn't change at all. It's all nothing, it's all the whether he was there before or not, whatever. So he says like this. And he explains, that's the inyan of Shabbos, by the way. Shabbos Hashem Elokecha, that the external powers that you did, in other words, the connection to world that you had during the week by creating and dealing with world, on Shabbos it stops to be. It goes back to the source, that the ray of the sun in the sun. So he says, this is a few lines we learned. A person who makes an effort out of Shabbos will have what to eat on Shabbos. They should guard to add on from weekday to Shabbos, to fix themselves. The last is benafshes Shabbos, and to make Shabbos. Lazis Shabbos means the Jew needs to make this level of Shabbos. What does that mean? Be like that. Lazis Shabbos benafshe. Where do we have the aspect of Shabbos during the week? That's the level of tefillah, davening. It says tefillah is sulam motzarach v'reishem agesh shemayim u'malach elikim elim v'yodim. Right, the ladder connecting heaven and earth, the malachim are going up and down. What are the malachim? He said that's the mitzvahs, which are malachim shlucha the malka, because malachim by definition means messengers. And mitzvahs are called mechabden as a mitzvahs, the Medrash says, shehem shlucha shalom kameisei. Okay, this is where we're up to, by the way. Skip the brackets. To understand what all this means, that the Jew makes the level of Shabbos, the Chazal instituted the bracha before a mitzvah. What does the bracha say? Meaning we become holy through mitzvahs, through mitzvahs, we become connected to the level of Kedusha, which is a level of godliness, which will in Kaddish means removed and separated. The level of Kedusha means a level of godliness which has nothing to do with world, disassociated from world, that's too great to be connected to the world, and that is the level a Jew connects to when they do a mitzvah. The pasuk says, "Ani kavrei shiranon." I'm like a slingshot. We learned this in other memorim. What does it mean? Bereish. What is a bereish ranon? He says bereish min erez. It's a piece of cedar tree. Shadayin lo is hiskin. It didn't get old yet, and it's still soft, so it's bendable. Vodach v'ranon. Shubalu belechuse. When it's wet, shaz yechelim lekayf fe'lamato. You can bend it back. If it's hard, remember the difference between shevet and mata. Mata means it's hard, you can't budge it. Shevet, it's a little bender, it's flexible. And because the eres is the highest of all trees, when you put something on it, when you bend it back, in simple English, he's describing a slingshot, yeah? And when you pull the slingshot back, and then when you let go of it, it goes back to where it's supposed to be. So what happens, it elevates the thing to a much, much greater, higher level. What does it mean? Ani kavei shranan. Hashem says, I am like a slingshot. What does it mean Hashem says, I am like a slingshot? Ki yesh bechinas anechi or bechinas ani. The pasuk says, Ani kavei shran, not anechi. Sometimes Hashem is called Ani Hashem Elokeichem, Asher Yitzayis Yeschem. Sometimes Hashem is called Anechi. What's the difference between Ani and Anechi? Why sometimes Ani, sometimes Anechi? Bechinas, Kiyash Bechinas Anechi, Bechinas Ani, Bechinas Anechi. Bechinas Anechi, Misha Anechi, I know the level of Alma Diskasya. Anechi means the hidden worlds. Anechi Misha Anechi, I am who I am. That means the level of Hashem by Himself. Or Bechinas Ani, and the level of Ani is Bechinas Torah Mitzvahs. Bechinas Lamath Kshem Eslab Shem Binyanim Gashmi. When Torah Mitzvahs come into physical objects, or Magbilim or Inyanim, and the things become limited. When it becomes physical measurements, like he says, it has to be revius night and yadayim. So he says like this: Anechi represents a level of a godliness which is much greater than world. Ani is when godliness comes into the gashmistic world of Torah mitzvahs. When he tells it, so it's already dealing with gashmis. Because every mitzvah is connected to time and place. You have to do a mitzvah in a certain time, in a certain place, in a certain amount. You can't just, everything has to be a proper amount. So therefore he's, what? Anechi. Anechi is first person, if you know English grammar. Anechi is first person. Ani, no, diktuk. Atos ekanechi. But that's the level that he's going to explain what happened, why you made that bracha before mitzvah. What happens when you do a mitzvah? You bring down anechi into ani.
What's the difference between the two names again?
What?
Ani and anechi.
Anechi is the essence of Hashem, nothing to do with world. Ani is when he comes into the world of Torah mitzvahs. By the way, today's class is sponsored by Avram Aradi for all good things. That's the concept of mitzvahs. When it says Ani kivrei shiranan, I am like a slingshot, it means the level of Ani bends down into Gashmias, bends back. And then, though, through the mitzvah, the physical mitzvah, you fly higher than you would otherwise. The same thing you have in evil. Just like you have in Kedusha, the level of Anechi and Ani. And he says, the same thing, we're not going to say about Elokeinu anymore in our actions, meaning, close in Shama. Yegi says, just like a Jew becomes elevated through mitzvahs, so the same way you become lower through Avedas. Therefore we say, Elokeinu, it's the koyach of our existence. V'sha'el of anachum ishtachmum made them the level of bit. So you have the same thing he's going to continue. In evil, the person gets a slingshot going down. Just like in mitzvahs, the slingshot throws you up high. So in Aveda, throws you down low. Very low. It's not the normal thing anymore. Because if it exists in Kedusha, then it has to exist in evil. Because everything, so you can go this way, you can go backwards. Sometimes it can hit you in the face.
And you are the one who has the control.
We have control, yeah. Hashem bends back, comes into the Gashmis Mikah, we have to let go of it. If you hold it down, it's not going to do anything. You have to Let's go. So he says, the Gemara says in the Avodah Zarah, Yisrael shebechutz la'aretz, they chavim b'tadehim. The Jews, the Gemara says that Jews in chutz la'aretz are like worshiping idols in purity. What does that mean? What does it mean we're bowing to idols? What does it mean bowing to an idol? It doesn't only mean taking a stone, an image, and bowing down to it. It says when a person is bottled to gashmistic desires and temptations, that means you're bowing to idols. If a person's indulged in Avedas, right? That means you're bowing to Avodah Zarah. So he says, then you're bending your face to idols. Just like you bow to Hashem, you can bow to idols too. There's certain tvur, like it says in Zeis HaBracha. There's certain, Rashi says, there's certain tvur that grows from the sun. And some things grow from the moon. Or the same thing, all gashmistic things, doesn't have a mazel from above. That the person the thing gets sustained from. Every gashmistic thing gets sustained from ruchnius, a mazel. Therefore, therefore, when a person is totally indulged in worldly things, who made it sichle shebereshet, you bow, you lower the seichel of your head, the davar anishma mekachavim mazalis, then you bow to idols. Gam heim bechinas alakeinu l'maisi yadeinu, ki maisi yadeinu. What does it mean? That when it said, the pasuk says, Elokeinu l'maisi yadeinu. So he said, what does it mean, Elokeinu l'maisi yadeinu? Elokeinu means foreign gods. Just like we have Elokeinu in Kedusha, we have Elokeinu in evil. When a person makes idols out of foreign gods, then it becomes foreign gods. So in other words, Al Rebbe is saying, just like in Kedusha, it's this of mitzvahs, the slingshot makes it fly high. Avodah Zarah means when you bowing yourself and giving in to gashmistic desires, or even like he says the word parnasa, meaning if the parnasa is only for negativity, not for kedusha, so then you're mamish worshipping idols. That's the punishment of kafakela. You know, after, besides Gehenna, you have Chibet Akev and Kafakela. Kafakela is also a slingshot. They throw the neshama back and forth. The neshama sees what it did in this world, then it comes back to Gan Eden, and that's torture for the neshama to realize that this is what I did when I was alive and all this garbage in the world. It's also a slingshot, but it's a slingshot of negativity, not a slingshot of positivity. This is you. Sha'af abisha davar shumlu bishba binyanin gashmi liad nera la'ayin shumena averi shadun dashba kevav. Okay, so you see, a person comes to realization, look, I stepped on all these holy things, the mitzvahs that I stepped on instead of doing the mitzvahs I did. In other words, instead of going slingshot up, you're going slingshot down. And by the way, that is the second the person touches the object. You can go up or down. Remember, klipas naiga is only klipas naiga. It only stays klipas naiga, the neutral, until the Jew touches it. The second you touch it, it either goes up or down. Either slingshot up or slingshot down.
Or any situation.
Every situation is klipas naiga. Business, eating, sleeping, I mean, everything is klipas naiga. The question what you do with it. normal business, and I'm talking about treif types of business. I'm saying business itself is klibas neiga. You can do it legally for the right purposes, or you go to illegally, or in a way cheating in it, or in a way that it gets in the way of Torah mitzvahs. So it goes either way. We'll leave that out. That's the slichas one in the morning. Vinay. So 4 lines in the end of the page. Like the slingshot of a stone. They say they've it becomes like mamish you worship big idols. Because if a person, and this is what Chassidus always explains, Avodah Zarah doesn't mean a person bowing to an idol. Avodah Zarah means when you do Avodah which is foreign to you. If it's foreign for a Jew, meaning it's not Kedusha, so automatically you're bowing to something which is not Kedusha. Not only it's not Kedusha, it's a contrary to Kedusha. We're talking about according to Torah. What do you mean according to? Of course according to Torah. What do we?
Buying a car is not foreign.
Huh?
Buying a car is not foreign.
Yeah. The car isn't. Buying it is. The who, what, when, and where of it. That could be either Kedusha or... If a person buys a car because he wants to go to shul or to work or whatever, that's one thing. If he wants to go, there should be a showpiece, that's a different story. Whatever. Vinay, Aliyas, 2 lines in the end of the page. Aliyas ha-mitzvah ikarai de atfila. When do mitzvahs become elevated to a high level at the time of davening? Why? Vishoshas hakesha. It's an appropriate time. Umizgal, umis'ala b'chinas pnim, yisnukudas aleh b'chos nishamis Yisrael. Because what happens in davening? The Jew goes sulam mutzav. The Jew, like we learned, davening is stages. You're going up, before Baruch Shama, Psukkah Zimmer, Birchas Krish, Mishman Esrei, all that. V'zel ma'amin azad, that's what Chazal tell us. Tfilas b'makom karbanis tiknum, that davening is instead of karbanis. Ki k'mei sha'kar makrivim behema. Just like, what is the physical carbon? You take an animal and you bring it as a carbon. You burn it on the mizbeach. You have to awaken the love and during davening, like a burning flame of fire, burning in the heart. Because the element of fire, Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, Rambam says, but Alter Rebbe says in Tanya is in the heart. To burn the nefesh habamis. Just like a carbon is to burn the physical behemoth, davening is the concept of burning the nefesh habamis. It says in the pasuk, the mitzvah was mitzvah lahavi min ahedit, as the Gemara says. The kohanim had to put a fire on the mizbeach, even though there was the heavenly fire. It says alpha pishe yerid min hashemayim. Even though in the days of Shlomo Melech, the Gemara says that a fire came down from heaven, crouched like a lion, and that was the fire that was constantly on the Mizbeach. Nevertheless, that was a mitzvah for the Jews to bring their own wood. So, why? If there's a fire from above, what do you have to bring your own fire for? He says, Kigam l'mayl yesh b'chinas ad, and just like down here. There's a kohen that puts fire on the mizbeach. There's in the spiritual world, there's an Aaron HaKohen, Sheneis and Eish B'Knesset Yisrael, that puts fire into the Yid. Just like down here, there's a physical mizbeach, and the kohenim add fire to it. There's a spiritual mizbeach up there. Okay? And because he's Shushvin, the accompaniment of the queen, and Hizayin, Reim Adin is one of the 7 Royim. Hamashpilim Gile Elokusi is bar that reveals godliness. B'Malkan is Shamitz Yisrael, and this a Shelamayla. What's the fire from above? that we all have. He says that ta'ava tivis, the natural instinctive love that we have, that's the fire that comes from heaven. The pintali, the ava mesutaris. But he said that's not enough to serve Hashem with ava mesutaris. That's a fire we get from above. Now you got to go and bring a fire from down here. You have to awaken this fire from above. That the nefesh Shabamas doesn't have on its own, and that's the love of mislahevis, mislahetas, mesidas nefesh, or kiddush Hashem mamish. That's the concept of mesidas nefesh. What is the concept of mesidas nefesh? Liparid min apsila, hi aguf, to separate ourselves from the body, which in the chesed bay, which the neshama is held on to, instead of being dragged down by the body, the slingshot downward, it has to be we have to bring the fire from below. By meditating into the greatness of Hashem. Every person on his own level, and to ignite and to enlighten the nefesh of Hashem is beinus hamilit ava azma, to create a powerful, physical, strong love is beinus medavar chodosh. When you meditate on a new thing, we know when you think about it as something, a new invention, a new concept, you're all excited, right? But once it gets old and boring, it doesn't mean anything anymore. Like we see clearly, when somebody sees something new, you become affected. Therefore, Chazal say, every day mitzvahs have to be new. What do you mean mitzvahs should be new every day? You should get excited every day from doing a mitzvah. That means the same way that you had the excitement the first time you put on tefillin. When you're 90 years old, you have to have the same excitement of putting on tefillin, even though you did it already for 78. What?
But how can you do the same tefillah, same thing every day? How can you just be excited as much as you need?
That's the meditation into the new connection that we have with Hashem that we didn't have yesterday.
Davening is something you need.
Let me ask you a question. A guy goes into business to make money. Yeah? So why does he go tomorrow into the business? To make more money. You did it yesterday. But yesterday's money is gone. You need more money.
Davening is the same way.
Huh?
Davening is not something you do only because you want to connect to Hashem. It's a necessity.
Every davening has to be awakening a new love of Hashem that didn't happen yesterday. We'd say it was supposed to be, not what it is. What's supposed to be. Davening is of infinite value. Davening is so infinite, you never get bored from davening. Chassidim say, why do people never get tired looking at the Rebbe? You see, okay, how many of these 1,000 times already? Okay, and to keep looking. Because the Rebbe is bleak-full, and bleak-full, it's new, you never get, it's not limited, you know what I mean?